Okay, there we go. And let me share the agenda. Okay, so fix up this. I just made a bit of a hash of this, just excuse me. Right, so first topic, we discussed extending the meeting length because it's been a few times. So we go for 30 minutes, and a few times we still had sort of pending items. So there was a brief discussion around this, if we should extend to 45 or an hour, or we could even keep the latter part for a breakout session if need be. So if there's a particular topic that we're discussing and a few people are really digging into that topic, then we could keep like the last 15 minutes could be for them to have a breakout session. So I just thought I'd open it up, see what your ideas are here. I'm inclined to go to a suggestion I could make, but I'm not strongly fixed to any particular idea, is we could go for 45, okay, for the normal meeting, and then there's a final 15 for folks that want to overflow and go into some sort of breakout session. But I'm really open here. It's this could be I'd rather this be a community decision.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of leaving the second half just for people to actually break out and discuss topics. Not scheduled. But.
Okay, so we would do 30 minutes regular meeting. The second 30 minutes can be an overflow.
Yeah, basically, so schedule the whole hour, but nothing in the agenda for the second half, and people can just use it to resolve any topics or discuss.
That's a good idea then. Yeah, that's a good idea. So everybody can come in, no 30 minutes, they can get up to speed with the meeting. Okay, and then rather than cut short folks that are diving into a particular topic, they can then go on for a bit longer. Okay, great. So sound good, anybody? Anybody have any objections or other ideas? If not, I'll extend the meeting and we'll do that from next week. Coolio, done. Okay. So office hours. Dan, I saw that you booked some office hours. I haven't managed to pull out the times yet. I don't know if you want to just whack those into the document.
Yeah, I'll do that. It is tomorrow at noon Pacific.
Great. So everybody fluent with office hours? And anybody been along to office hours? And
excuse me, what are the office hours for?
That's a good question. Yeah. So office hours is something. Dan came up with the idea, so I'll let him explain.
It's just what it sounds like. Some maintainers will just be hanging out in the call to work on stuff, help people get onboarded, answer questions, anything like that. So we're trying to do it every week or so.
Mm-hmm.
So any topics are fine.
Anybody can join. There's no particular structure. It could be just sort of talking away as we're hacking on stuff. And it's just an open forum, really, for people to sort of find a place in the community and ask how things work. And
that's good. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Okay, so help needed. I don't know if we have anything particular there. There is one that I created, and I can't link to it. I don't have it to hand, but anybody can ping me on Slack and I'll point you to it. We need to implement a version flag on all of the clients. Cosign already has one, okay, but all of the clients will need a version flag, and the servers as well, Fulcio and Recall. And so the idea is version flag, obviously it gives you the version, pretty much a no-brainer, but it's useful for if somebody opens an issue, they can say I was using version 1.2, Golang version 1.16, etc. Sort of some basic details. The cosign will give you the example. I think you use the Git tag as well and stuff like that. So they can then open an issue with that. And likewise, if or I should say when, there is a security advisory, and people need to understand, are they affected? How do they upgrade? The version flag is really useful then. So you can say, if you're between this release and this release, you're affected and you need to apply, you need to upgrade. So then they can use the version flag to find out exactly where they stand. So that's probably a good first issue for folks, because you should be able to pretty much copy the implementation in Cosign and just move that into the other projects. So Fulcio, Recore. Some of them, such as the Ruby Gems one, it's not really quite ready yet. The Maven one, probably not so much, but I imagine most of the Golang projects. So that's a good first help needed issue. Dan, do you know of any from your side that'd be good first issues?
No, I have to scrub the list. Not off the top of my head.
No worries. Okay, so right. So discourse, GitHub discussions. So let me frame this. We've discussed putting up a forum. Okay. Now, this won't be so much for development discussions. There we can review code in PRs. We have issues. Okay. This will be a more catered towards end users. Okay. I ran the command. It didn't work. I downloaded or tried to install, it wouldn't work. This sort of stuff, essentially. So eventually, when we do go live, and you know, we expect a lot of adoption, there's going to be a lot of noise around people just having issues, not understanding how it works. They can't get it to install, that sort of stuff. Okay, so that will be a forum for that. Let's Encrypt use Discourse. I've seen a few other communities use Discourse. So I put up a basic one. It's not ready to use now at the moment because we need an SMTP server to relay the account activation emails and stuff like that. So I emailed the Linux Foundation to request an SMTP server, and they said, "Why aren't you using GitHub discussions?" Okay, so my opinion was I don't really like them so much, but I thought I should really bring it to the community to see what your thoughts were. So some people might feel discussions are okay. I kind of prefer not, for the simple reason that I don't really want generic user issues mixed in with development pull requests and so forth. Do you see what I mean? But maybe my logic is flawed, so I thought, see what you folks think. Dan, I know you're not a big fan of discussions, are you?
Everybody keeps suggesting to use them, and I've never seen anybody actually use them correctly. Things just get dumped in there and then never looked at again.
Sure. Whereas Discourse is, we can run our own, so it just does exactly what we need, really. It's.
I think your logic is sound, Luke, in that separating developer concerns from user concerns, that makes a lot of sense for the start. So if you keep everything developer related on GitHub and everything user related elsewhere, that's probably a nice clear distinction.
Yeah, because the ultimate consumer of this will be the sort of the public service, if you see what I mean. So
you're trying to say something, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give you, we do use at Small Stuff, we use for our open source, we use GitHub discussions. I would say those are two different channels. I mean, that's the way we look at it, right? And, you know, we're also trying to sort of meet users where they are. And chat is different than GitHub discussions. Like, you know, chat is more synchronous and I think, you know, there's more back and forth than you get in discussions. We do like discussions, though. One nice thing about discussions is it can actually, I think, make it easier to segment the development stuff, because, you know, what we see is, you know, people will open issues being like, I tried to run it and it didn't run, which really shouldn't be an issue. It's a support request, but they use issues for that. And one nice thing is GitHub makes it really easy for you to convert back and forth. So you don't have to like close won't fix it. You can be like, well, this should really be a discussion, so I'm converting it, and then you can support there. I'd say like it probably then the problem with it is you increase the support burden because now you're supporting people in multiple places. So
sure.
yeah.
It does sound like a great idea, that ability to just wholesale move it across. But at the same time, I'm aware that I don't want the community to be, well, the development community to be spending cycles doing that at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other benefit, by the way, is searchability. You know, stuff that's in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Anyone else got any views? So it seems like discourse is maybe just edging it ahead. So discussions is good, it's got merits, but yeah. Okay, well, I've got a discourse up and running, so we'll you know, we can always revert to discussions, I guess, if need be. I don't know.
Just another data point. The project I work on, Envoy, has a Slack channel for Envoy users, and I think it kind of depends, I guess, like, you know, who might be able to answer those questions, but I feel like developers are more often on Slack. So if developers are answering those questions, and, you know, that they can chime in on the users channel. But yeah, again, just another data point.
We can easily create a users channel. We should do that. In fact, yeah. In fact, we might even make general I don't know, we could have like a landing channel. I don't know if it should be general, but where people land into sort of a user channel. And then from there, they can work out how to branch off to development if they need to ask coding stuff and so forth. Great. Okay. So project round robin. So Fulcio, we might skip over this because I don't think we have any of the tough folks or Santiago or Trishank this week. So
I'm here. I could.
Oh, you're there. Sorry, mate. I couldn't see you in the Brady Bunch screen.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Good to see you, Santiago. Yeah. So I don't know if you have any update there.
Well, from looking at the notes here, I think that protocol, the protocol document needs to be down. I haven't read the latest iteration. I think some of the work for the total meta blocks that is on Recore is something that we've been working on and will be relevant for the tough metadata as well. So I'm hoping to make a PR by Sunday this weekend, so we can start, essentially doing dry runs of this root of trust ceremony type of work.
So that will be, just get me up to speed, that will be an in toto type into Recore.
That would be a general signature wrapper type that works for both tough and in toto.
Okay, so that would go into Fulcio.
That would go into, I guess it would go into Recore, although,
Oh, okay, it's a PGP question. Type, so it's like
it's almost like a PGP type, but it's a signature type for tough and in toto signatures.
Okay. Sure.
Now, that's a good question, architecturally speaking. How much is there a shared code base between these two T-logs, and how useful would it be to have this type moved around?
I think you were right. I think Recore is the right place for this one.
Okay.
Yeah. So in Recore, you have the pluggable types, which are in the manifest layouts, okay, and the canonicalization and validation of those. And then you have the kind of, we call it a PKI plugin, I think, which is where you have GPG minisign X509.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So another thing that I wanted to eventually talk with the tough maintainers is that I just found out that GoTough uses CJSON, which is an implementation of CJSON that is not compliant with the spec. So there is two ways to fix that. Is we can get GoTough depend on in toto, which has a compliant implementation of CJSON using like our own code, or we can just essentially move the burden into Recore and just have the canonicalization be done on Recore on the canonicalization function, which is also not the end of the world. But that would mean that we need to pull in Toto as a dependency for the metablock type, even though we will be using it for TOF first. I don't know how that contentious would that be.
I can't see any problem. It's, you know, you're a maintainer of that library, and it's obviously maintained. And Dan, yeah.
Okay, cool. That simplifies my life a lot. And then I think later down the line, maybe we can move that logic to go TOF, so we don't have to see that, or like at least have this like tight binding between the two projects.
Great. So I planned on having a bit of a hack on this as well. Okay, so I'm not going to reinvent anything myself, but I wanted to try and get a basic demo working. So I've downloaded Twine and PyPy and Warehouse, and I want to try and get an OpenID sign-in happening. Okay, but I'm happy to follow the lead of how the sign-in events occur specific to TAF and all the work that you've done there, if you see what I mean. So I just want to get something working.
Right.
Working. That'll probably be in the Sigstore client.
Right. So something
but
that
I'll share progress with you, and I'm not of a strong opinion around the implementation. It makes sense to follow the work that you've already done.
So something that I think it's cool. I don't know if Will from Jillafit is on the call, but there is some money going on in helping Twine and this other like PyPI related tools to essentially like simplify the user interface for verifying signatures over packages. And I think, I mean, since PEP 458 and 480 are using TOF, I wonder if we can just essentially use all of the stuff that we're doing for roots of trust in Fulcio to automate a delegation mechanism using OICD inside of PyPI, and then using Twine to verify signatures over PyPI packages on Recore, or at least get the like root of trust information and all of the delegation information, and eventually get a signature for the particular package. I am working on a one-pager that I wanted to share, and I think I should be ready with this early next week as well, so we can essentially tie in the whole user story of how you can go to Fulcio, get your key, have it delegated for like a PyPI namespace for package and then be able to use Twine to sign using, that's very similar to cosign story.
Yeah.
And then also use pip to install a package that eventually walks all the way through the delegation graph from the global supply chain, not only for PyPI, but to eventually verify a PyPI package.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to have a go at hacking on. Is Twine signs and pip verifies, and I might even just fork Warehouse and just put in some sort of "this is signed" type signal.
Yeah, so Warehouse is a tricky animal because
I don't expect to land it upstream in web in I was going to say in Winehouse, in Warehouse. Just really so that we got something to show people, socialize the idea.
Yeah. Again, I think we can get some momentum from the existing pet work. I think they're very friendly to working with what we have, and
that's good.
Hell, I even wonder if maybe not on Warehouse, but there's the test PyPI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure. Yeah, could be a good staging environment. I shouldn't really ask questions like this on this call because I don't want to sort of deep dive this topic, but very quickly, GPG, are they very fixed to that, or would they be conducive to X509 like we're using in cosign?
Well, so they're going to be using Tough. I think probably
it has to be X509, yeah.
Well, it is not full X509, but it's like the PEM stuff that we already have. So there's already support for that. I expect GPG to slowly fade out.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but like now you cannot, unless you know how to figure out like the endpoint, the GPG signatures in PyPI are not really visible. You can upload them.
Yeah, you can pull down some JSON and see them, but they're not exposed. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think we put it. I think we put it up. There's a paper I wrote in 2016. We actually got some, like the PyPI people to give us their logs of PyPI, like from some, like one of their mirrors, and we found out that there's less than 1% people that fetch the package, fetch the signature, and this was when the API was exposed.
Yeah, so, there's a guy from that Safe Drop project. He did an audit as well, and recently 3% of people are signing.
Yeah, so this is even worse because even if you sign, people won't check your signature.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, those are the things. It's like if nobody's signing, then nobody's verifying, and if nobody's verifying, then
and if nobody's verifying, people are going to think, well, why bother signing?
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So cosine. Anything new from?
Sorry about that. I hit the hang up button when I was trying to unmute myself.
So I don't know if you missed that, Dan. I just moved on to cosine.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to unmute myself. Yeah, we had a 0.2 release, and then more excitingly, Priya started signing a bunch of things with cosine that are now verifiable and everything. So the distroless images, if people are familiar with those, are now signed with cosine. We need to work with Kubernetes and other clients of the distroless images to start verifying those signatures, but lots of progress. As soon as that gets done, we've actually protected something important.
Yeah. So when you push the button with and K8 is verifying with cosine, I want to do a massive concerted effort to make a lot of noise about that, because that's a big thing. So
yeah.
So I'll really think about pushing a button on everything I can to get that out there and rinse that for what we can, because that's massive. That's really good. So that's really good work. That's awesome work. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So anything else for cosine?
I just transferred over to Sigstore the prototype Git signing GitHub action that I wrote last week. So that is available for people to play with if they like. Yeah.
Great. So is that, you feel that's ready for people to start downloading and playing with?
I don't know about production ready, but it's ready
sure.
if people want to try it out. Yeah. Basically,
I could put out on Sigstore Twitter, come along and try Git signing.
Yeah, like if you have a cosine key pair in your repository root, and you use this action, you can use it as like a pull request test, for example, to make sure that commits are present in the transparency log.
Great. Okay. Yeah, we'll get that out there. Brilliant. Right. Let me see. So, monitor project.
Well, I think that's on us. We are finally deploying on the live infrastructure. Our monitoring script is going to be deployed soon. So I also procured some nice hardware to be deployed here on Purdue University. So my hope is that we will also make some sort of noise once we start getting our initial reports. Part of the goal that I want us to have with this monitor is to move some of the sketches that Dan had early on prepared, which were, again, these use cases of is my key being used? Please send me an email. Is I don't know, is something being signed with my key that I didn't sign? That part of a user interface is still missing, but part of the goal is to also make an early showcase of what can be done, and then a sort of blog post that we can show everybody all of the things that you could do and how you can actually extend and improve and deploy your own monitors. I think later down the line, we want to start thinking of having multiple monitors, gossiping information about the log, so that the log cannot equivocate, and that we can also identify geographically relevant supply chain compromise surfaces. But that's talking way more long term.
Awesome. So for the email check, so are you querying Redis, or you popping entries off as the index increments, or how are you monitoring again?
Right now, we are just hitting the API and asking for leaves and nodes. That's my understanding. If F is still here, he can probably talk a little bit more in detail. But that's what we're doing. I suspect. Yeah,
sorry, you continue.
So I expect that we may become expensive in terms of like hitting the API, and at some point we may want to think of ways to improve that path. But for now, I really want us to get something basic going.
Yeah, that's fine. So what my thinking was that I've got an issue to include the email in the entries API. I think it's the entries API where you can query Redis, so you can do a Redis search. Okay, so which is obviously a lot more speedy, but I don't say that because I'm worried about you having a performance impact. Just more that if you were using Redis, then we'd need to get that in recall for you first, so you can query by the email.
Right. I mean, right now what we're doing is, or like at least the design, if we do want to keep a copy of the log, so that we can perform multiple types of scans over log information. Yeah. The email is one type. We also wanted to do full audits on some scheduled timeframes, so that we full audit every night, so that we can essentially tick a box and say, Purdue monitor says that this is fully audited and correct. But then I am assuming that we'll also find interesting insights as more information comes in. We can identify critical nodes. We can identify developer changes. So say this whole Chrome malicious extension situation, or identify what the next left pad will become. And I think for all of that, having this like local trove of information and this like pluggable scanners with a simple API, so that everybody can start writing their own scan modules would be super useful. That's essentially where things are at, but things are a little bit rough in the edges. And I hope to be able to share something next week or the week after, so that we can see.
Oh, great. Okay, well, if you are ready, let me know, and I can reserve a slot on this meeting, and you can do a demo.
Sure. Yeah. So this is tied to our Purdue University course timeline. So by May, we should have something.
Whenever you're ready, that's fine.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So let's see. So kitchen sink, Sigstore, things are progressing along there. We've got the full sign operation happening now, and it stores into Recall. We're just looking at the verify stuff, and there's also a big patch came in to help with multiple SIGs. And the other thing, I started to work on the policy to work out how we could have a policy around maintainers. I was talking to Dan, and then he said, "Look, you're almost doing what they're doing at Tough." And then I went, "Oh, okay." And he pointed me towards the issue. So I've sort of held off on that, and I'll look at what you're doing there. So, but it was a pretty simple format, and it's just around, the idea is that there is a JSON policy file which lists the owner of the project, okay, and then they have maintainers, and then you can have like a sign-in threshold. So if your sign-in threshold is 3, then you expect 3 maintainers to sign off the release before it can be deemed as trustable. The verifier operation will be successful. So just looking at doing something like that. But yeah, the Sigstore clients are coming on quite well. And I was speaking to some folks earlier that are using Sigstore as well to, it's actually, they built it into Cosign to validate YAML for this Kube admission controller project that they're working on. That's pretty interesting as well. So I'm going to see if I can get them to come along and do a little demo of their work as well. Cool. Okay, let's have a look.
Fun.
So Ruby plugin, not much to update there. Eduardo put up a patch with the OpenID stuff. I need to look at that. I'm a little bit, I don't like installing Ruby on my host machine, and just because of the dependency mess that you can get in. But I need to work out, I need it to be, the shell needs to be able to invoke a browser. So I don't know if that's possible from a container or a VM. Perhaps it is, but that's holding me up at the moment. So I need to get onto that. I don't know the status of the Maven plugin, and Bob's not here. Okay, so we've got other communities. So I don't know if there's anything new on PyPy. There's various stuff here. There's an action item on Marina. Sketch out a way to improve the PR. How about Crates, Santiago? I can see your name there. Invite somebody from Crates RS to the community meetings.
I don't have updates yet.
Don't worry, that's fine. That's okay. Okay, and WASM. So, yeah, there's a fair amount happening here. We met with Frank. I can't recall Frank's surname, but Frank is the developer of MiniSign and also the WASM sign prototype that he wrote in Rust. And we spoke to him about his ideas around the ecosystem, attached signatures, detached, and various topics. And then he got back to us, and we've set up a meeting this Friday to try and pull various people together from the various islands that there are in WASM. So Solo, Envoy, Frank, of course, us folks from Sigstore, to look at how we can set a spec forward for WASM. And Azra's done some really good work there as well to get some various other people involved, and has been attending some of the meetings there. So yeah, we're hoping that will start to convert to some sort of implementation at some point. And it's sort of going off Frank's email. It looks like, I don't know, I'm not the best person to be the arbiter on this, but it looks like it might be the attached route that the community, the Bytecode Alliance, seem to be warming to. So the idea is the signature will be, and perhaps other metadata, will be attached to the WASM module itself. And then you'll be able to verify that WASM module. And yeah, we're just trying to work out what the distribution methods are. Some people distribute purely in a OCI image, and others seem to just pass around the modules, and it's different sort of methods, really. So yeah, I don't know if Dan, or is Dan or Azra on the call still?
He had to drop.
He had to drop, and I see Azra's dropped as well. So that sort of brings us to the end. Actually, we've overflowed, haven't we? So yeah, I don't have any more. Anything that I've missed or somebody wanted to bring up that's particularly...
Just very briefly, in line with what you were just mentioning, I've started trying to reach out to some communities, like reaching out to Tor and to, can't remember who else. Sorry, you dropped them off my mind. Ethereum, I think. Basically, I saw that Bitcoin are interested, so Ethereum probably will, are likely to be, they're interested in the security of the network. So yeah, I'm going to start, knocking on doors and poking it on windows and see who's interested.
Cool. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I don't know if anybody caught that, but Bitcoin Core want to use Sigstore. which is quite interesting. So that will be another good one to have as a reference. So this is the core Bitcoin code. Great. Okay. So I reckon we can leave it there. I will turn off the recording.